Good morning, Coach Tina here. Hello. Day 3, it is Friday. Who else is super psyched that it's Friday? Because we all need a light at the end of the tunnel, right? If you're work full-time like I do, then you know what it's like to have Friday. Friday, we get to wear jeans, we get to relax, we get to slow down, and yay, I'm really excited that it's Friday. Now, Friday is our day 3 of our 3-day masterclass from procrastination to desired destination. It has been operating since Wednesday. And if you have missed any of the last recordings, please head back into the system. I can send you a link. You could put right now, just put #need, and I will send you the link. It'll have all 3 replays on one page. And when you do that, it'll be so easy. You can, what do they call it when we binge Netflix, right? You can binge all 3 days at once. It's approximately about a half an hour each video. And it's something that I think has been really valuable. So many of you have told me that it's something that you believe has been helpful to you. And I'm just making sure really quick that I can get all the people on Facebook watching. If you're coming on live now, go ahead and put in the comments. Vanessa's in. Yes, she wants all 3 on one page. Perfect. Because going back, a lot of this stuff, and today, I apologize in advance. There's a lot of stuff on today. So I am going to get through it quickly with some links and stuff at the end where we can go into more detail if that's right for you. So let me plug us in here. Don't forget to say hello and let us know that you're on if you haven't done that yet. Okay, I'm pinning it in now. If you want the link to the group, I haven't added it yet. So let me grab that really quick, and I will go out and put it in the Facebook group. And you will have it. I'm putting it in the comments. Sorry. There's like 3 things I got to do each morning, right? And I'm getting 2 of the 3 done most of the time, but little things like the invite when the system is not loading up there we go. All right. Here is the link to StreamYard if you guys want to come in that way. All right. There we go. Back to StreamYard, and let's get started this morning. I know I am excited about our masterclass, and I want to head in to our presentation right away so that we can cover everything from procrastination to desired destination. Okay, and let me just take that banner off, keep it out of our way here. And let's go. So if you've been following along, the first 2 days, we covered why picking a desired destination. Now, it's not really a destination, right? We are on a journey, and we call it a destination, but we all recognize that when we get to the top of the mountain, we're probably going to see more beyond that we want to reach out and go to. So it's the proverbial destination, but it's where we believe we want to go now. And the great thing about life is you can wiggle and move and decide to do things differently as you go. But when you have a point in the distance, especially one like we've talked about where it is compelling, it is drawing you to it, you want to go in that direction. And all your other decisions will be based on that. And that will help lead you to where you want to go. But the reality of where you are now has to be taken into account. So yesterday we talked all about measuring where you are now, getting your numbers from 0 to 10 of where you are in the 7 key areas of life, because from that place, we can decide what to do next. And today we're talking about why we don't want to wait until tomorrow to get started. Okay, so let's move along. The objectives we have covered so far are defining that vision, what it is in the distance. We've done the realistic assessment. We have our numbers. And again, if you haven't watched the videos from the last 2 days, if you want the link to a full page with all 3 of the day's videos on it, put #need in the comments and I will send that to you. So we did the realistic assessment. Vanessa got hers in. She's seen her wheel. And then we talked about your blueprint for success. All of us have been successful in life. If you don't believe that, remember the fact that when you were conceived, there were millions and millions of other sperm that tried to connect with your egg. And one made it, and that's what made you. So you have been a winner from the very beginning. You won the race. You are here on purpose. You are living the life that you need to be living. Now you want to come in and do what you're meant to do. So today we're going to talk about setting goals and documenting how we're doing. And we're going to learn the proven system that I have used for years now that is really working for me. And I want to find out if it's going to work for you. But it all starts with taking action. Okay. This part of our class is about action. And it's not, the definition of action is doing something. But I caution you, because a lot of us get stuck in I'm doing stuff, but it isn't the stuff that's intentional towards the thing that you want to be doing. So we take action, but we take intentional steps. Tony Robbins likes to say, never make a decision without scheduling a related action. So if you're an idea person like me, what you want to do is take action on those ideas or the seeds that you're planting in your life. And those are the ones that you want to nurture and grow, because they're going to get you a harvest at the end. Because we want to do things that count, meaning that there's fruit from what we do. And we can all look at our areas of our life and recognize that there are things we do that don't give us any benefit in the end. And the world likes to tell us that those are good things to do. But in the end, we're stuck in a self-defeating loop that does not serve the greater purpose in our life. So don't beat yourself up for those things. Recognize them, become aware of them, see them so that you can take action in a positive way to get where you want to go. So the first question I want to ask today is, there are steps, action steps you are going to need to take to live the life that you want. But none of them are going to matter if you are not willing to take those steps, right? There's a reason God gave us our own personal will, right? It wouldn't be very fulfilling if we just had to do things. But when we feel compelled to do it, when we're willing to do it, when we get to versus have to do something, that approach is going to take us much further than when we feel an obligation or a sense of we have to do this for this person or this reason that doesn't resonate with us. So you've got to get in touch with, what are you willing to do? That will stop the procrastination right there. We already talked a little bit on Monday, but procrastination will hold you back from the thing that you're going after if it's not in alignment with what you know you need to be doing. And we can call it whatever we want. We can, like we talked about the difference between procrastination is you're not really doing it on purpose, whereas lazy is you willingly decide that you're not going to do something. But procrastination is kind of mysterious. You look around and you think, I meant to do all these things, but this happened and that happened, and there was so much chaos and I was busy. And we get wrapped up in the story of how we can't do something. And what we do is we say that we're afraid, or we discount it at a really high level, but we don't dig deeper to figure out what the root of what's going on in that situation is. And so we just keep repeating the same outcome and wondering why our life isn't going the way that we want it to. But what we have to do is we have to be willing to play in the dirt. We have to dig, and realize, oh, it's not really fear. It's the fear of this because of a thing that happened in my life, because maybe you're dealing with huge grief, okay? And the grief is part of your story. It makes perfect sense. There are reasons behind it. But it's not helping to get you to where you want to go, right? You have to be willing to take what they call uncomfortable action, right? To feel a different feeling, to believe that there's more that you're meant to have in that future place. Okay. And Vanessa's saying, yes, she gets wrapped up in that all of the time. Okay. I feel for you, dear. I know how hard things like that can be. And I know that you're dealing with some special, deep guilt and grief, and as only a mama would. Okay. But we have to take lessons from our heart and know the next thing to do. We have to move beyond because we're strong. Women are built special, right? And we know that we have that extra that is going to take us to do the next thing, because that's what we're meant to do. Hi, Sarah. So glad you're here. Zig Ziglar has a great saying, and Zig Ziglar is one of my favorite motivational gurus, if you will. He's no longer with us, but his legacy lives on. And he says, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to start in order to be great. And this is kind of the message I'm putting out today is we want to get started. That's what you don't put off until tomorrow. You start today. You start now. Before we get off of this call, you're going to have a couple of things in mind, and you're going to do them before the end of this day. And that's going to give you some momentum. And that's what we're going to talk about next. So goal setting 101. And this is where I said there's a lot on this slide, and I apologize in advance. I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger for all of us to see. So, let's see. There's a way I can do this. There we go. There we go. I'm going to give it a little bit bigger, and we're going to hit through these very quickly. The first one is goal setting 101. You need to break down your goals. We make big dreams, but your goals need to be manageable. Okay. If you make a goal that is not manageable at this stage in your life, remember we talked about the reality, then you will not hit the goal. You will create a self-defeating system, and then you will feel like you can't meet your goals and you will stop. So you want to break them down to the smallest possible degree. And when you start hitting those little goals, you will naturally start going for bigger ones, and you will feel so excited because you will be meeting your goals. See, that momentum is what comes from making progress. And when you start with the small goals and they will lead to the big goals, then you'll start to feel like you're making progress. Then the momentum will kick in, and then you will make more and more progress. Now, there are so many systems. There's a 5-year system and a 3-year system and a 1-year. And what that means is you just take your big goals and you break them down into smaller segments. So you take your big dreams and you say, okay, well, what is possible in 5 years? And then you say, well, of those, what could I do in 3? Or what could I do in 1? Okay. And that's where I said, this can get really unmanageable because you could take forever just planning out your goals. But what you want to do is take the key we said on day 2, which is how much time do you have to devote to this? And that's where you want to start. You can always go back later and be more detailed. After you've got the knack and the thick of things, you're figuring it out, then you can go back and say, okay, now I'm going to work on 5-year goals. But after your 5-3-1, there's the 90-day goals. And I really like the 90-day goal because what it does is it gives you a bigger picture that's manageable. You take your 1 year, break it into what am I going to get done over the next 3 months. And then every day you look at your 90 days. And I actually write out in the next 90 days, these are my goals. So right now we're in quarter 2, April, May, and June. So I'm looking at what will I want to get done before June. And I write that out every morning because it keeps my mind intact. It's helping me remember these are the important things according to my dreams and goals. And then I take those 90 days and I say, okay, in order to meet my 90, what can I do this month? And then I have that framework, right? I'm looking at my 90-day goals and I'm saying, okay, this is what I can do. Now you can break your 90 days into the 1 month. you can break it into this week. And I usually pick 3 things that I want to do this week. And then I pick 3 things that I want to do today. And we're going to talk more about that in just a minute. But we have to keep focused. It's an interesting view, but we're not going to be able to see what we want to see. So let me just go that one. Yep. Okay. So focus. Follow one course of action until successful. You may or may not have heard that acronym before. So the F is follow. The O is one, course of action. Okay. So that's your steps that you're going to take until, that's the U, successful. And that's your S. Okay. So we want to focus on one thing at a time. That's what will keep it simple for us. And it's really hard in today's world. And we're multi-focused and multi-passionate. We're all over the place, right? Which is okay to an extreme. But what it means is when you have your main thing that you're working on, right? You're going to say, this is the task I'm working on right now. Maybe it's 15 minutes. I have this great timer. It has 15-minute block. It has a 20-minute block, a 30, and a 60. And you just turn it over and it starts the timer. So when I want to work on something, if I only have 15 minutes, I turn my 15-minute timer on, and that's all I'm allowed to work on in that 15-minute block. And that will help me. And I start first thing in the morning. What's the worst thing I have to do today? Let me spend 15 minutes on it. And what can I chip away at? Even if at the end of the 15 minutes, I have a list of 10 things I need to do now on that item, I can break that down. I can then check that off during the day. Well, I just need a couple minutes for this part, or I know now that I need to block out an hour later in the day or tomorrow. Does that make sense? You have to be in the thick of it. You have to work on it. And you have to have positive habits that support your growth. So if you are not very disciplined, which is a common thing that happens to us these days, then maybe you need a habit that helps you with discipline. And I always say start with one habit, one thing when you look at your big list of goals that you know that if you had a stronger habit in that area, it would move you forward faster. And that, sure, there's probably 10 habits you need to have, but we're going to work on one and we're going to get that habit ingrained. We're going to figure out how to make that habit work for us. And then we're going to add more on. You see, life is in the long game, right? It's not an immediate quick fix, going to make all the money right away, going to have all your goals immediately. Just think about it and you get it. It takes work. It takes a plan, which is our next step, right? So we have our big dreams. From our big dreams, we have milestones. And that's really that 5-year, 3-year, 1-year, 90-day. Okay. And then we have goals. We break our milestones down into smaller parts that we can actually check and say we achieved. And within the goals, we have steps. So that's kind of the vocabulary that I like to use. Key thing about our plan is we have to write it down or we're going to forget it. Or more likely, we're going to not remember that we did accomplish something. We're going to allow outside influences to make us feel like we didn't actually get even close to the goal. I was a former teacher, and one of the things that I notice a lot is all of us want to get A+ on everything we do. And if we're not getting the A+, 100% on our paper, we feel like a failure. But the reality is the student who gets the B's and the C's and the occasional A, they will get a good grade in the end too. So you just have to try to keep at the C level in your life. I know that's average and most of us want the hundreds, but keeping it at that common place and just occasionally pushing for the high, that will get you farther than you think. So don't be afraid to have an average day or an average goal setting experience, because over time you will turn yourself into a higher achiever that gets those goals. And then you're going to have a whole new experience in the first place. And then don't forget that we want to keep our goals visible. So we want to have like posters of them up or Post-it notes, screensavers on our phones and our computers. always keep that goal front of mind. That will help you to keep your priority set, because your mind is working to help you, right? And at a certain point, if you start doing too many things and your mind knows your goal and it sees you're committed to the goal, your mind's going to start being like, you don't have time to do that. Like, you have to say no to this. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel not aligned to the things happening in your life, because you're going to feel the draw of, I can't do this and this. They're two different directions and I have to pick one. It doesn't mean I can't do both eventually, but I have to pick one first. And when you complete it, instead of a little bit of this and a little bit of that and here and there and there and there and there and there, and then going back and circulating, that's one way to do it, but it's hard. It feels like you're not getting anywhere. Whereas if you block out some time, however much time you have, and you make it, a lot of times, I'm going to tell you one tip that I really like about goal setting. If I have a really big goal or one that I'm not too sure how to achieve, I say to myself, I'm going to work on this for 15 minutes. And that's my success, is doing it for the 15 minutes. I may not finish it, but doing it for the time period allows me to believe in myself. Does that make sense? If that's making sense to you, go ahead and put a 1. Make it easy to meet your goals. When you make it easy, you will have success, because it's in the progress where you have the happiness. It's not in the achievement of the goal. It's the happiness that you get from doing the thing that you know you want to do. Yes, very good. I see Sarah and Vanessa are both answering with 1. You guys are awesome. All right. So the last thing is allow others to support you. Diane, you're on too. So happy to have you here. Allow others to support your journey. Okay. Life is not meant to be done alone. We want to go into this with the idea that we are human beings meant for community, and people around us are there for a reason. So let's let them help us with our goals. Tell them your goals. Tell them what's important to you. Tell them what your struggles are. Be vulnerable. Okay. I know this is really hard. We're strong women. We present ourselves out into the world as forces, right? And we don't want anybody to see that we are human, that we have needs. And yet, if we can't put ourselves out there, the real, authentic, this is what's going on in my life, then we're going to have struggles. And Vanessa says, what if they don't listen when you're putting yourself out there? That's a very good question, Vanessa, because it's not really about them. It's about you. When you stand up for yourself, when you say, this is what I'm doing, when you say, this is who I am, and you believe it, and you're strong in it, and you're vulnerable even with yourself, right? The right people will show up in your life. And the thing is you will recognize the people who aren't supporting you, and you just need to be strong enough in your personhood to be like, okay, so I recognize that behavior. That's not helping me. So I'm going to associate with people that do help me in this area. So it's almost like they're giving you feedback. It may not be the feedback you want, but it's the feedback that you can take from that place of, I'm in the right direction, recognizing that they're not the right people to support you in that area. And, it's not Anthony Trucks, but there's another gentleman who says this so well, where he says that God doesn't give your vision to anybody else. He only gives it to you. So why would anybody else understand what you're going through or what you want or why you want it? It can make completely no sense to anybody else. But if you're meant to do it, if you feel that in your heart, then you need to be strong enough to feel that in your person and go out and do that thing. And you disregard the feelings of the people around you. And I know that's hard. That's a hard position. That's what all of us are working towards, is how do we authentically present ourselves in the way we are and who we're meant to be. And that's something that just comes with work and work and work on yourself. Now, the second thing I said I would do as objectives for us is to share my proven process. So many of you know that I am an ULA certified coach. And ULA is a word that it it's from the word ooh la la, right? And it's when life is in this beautiful place. Like I talked about beautiful state. We call it a state of awesomeness. And it's when everything is in balance, when all the things, we call it the 7 plates, are spinning perfectly together. And, it's kind of an ideal, but what happens is when you're living a life of balance, you don't let just one thing override your life and send you over the top. And so we have the 7 F's of life. We went over them already. And we have, in the ULA framework, we take our 7 F's. Remember how you measured each F and you said what your number was on the scale from 0 to 10? Well, we take those F's and we make at least 3 goals for each of the areas. And we end up with 21 or more goals. And we do this on a yearly basis. It was really helpful. And there's a book. The book is what I read first. There weren't ULA coaches at the time. And I really went all into a simple system. And while 21 goals sounds like a lot, once you get started, it's not. But you only pick 7 of them. And you commit to 7. And from the 7, I don't have my board right here. We commit with stickers. And so you put your stickers on the board and then you say, I'm going to take 3 steps towards each of those goals. Not all 7 of them at once, but one goal you're going to take 3 steps towards. And you work on it. Now, what's cool is we have an app. It's evolved into an app. It used to be an index card. So if you're someone who loves index cards, it can be that simple. You write your 3 things down every day that you commit to getting done. Start in the morning with your 3 things, check them off before you go to bed at night. And then they evolved into an app on your phone that keeps that and tracks that for you. And it holds streaks and it lets you see how your progress is going. Keeps your goals right there in front of you so you don't forget what you're working on. And it's a great system. If you want to know more about our ULA system, then put #workshop in the comments and I will get you information. I'm going to do a workshop coming up. They just presented some new information to us. So I'll put it all together in a webinar format and get that out to people that are interested. ULA is loved and used by over 1 million people. And we have a goal to reach our 1 billion people in the next 7 years. And so they are going internationally, trying to get people to have improved minds and bodies, because we recognize in that area of fitness is usually the number 1 goal people have, because they need to have their mind in the right place before they can go after their goals. And so there's this symbiotic relationship. And some of you, when you went out and did the balance wheel yesterday, that was part of the ULA framework. We have a free assessment where you can get your numbers in the 7 key areas. And then we can track that in our community. We can see over time if the things that we are doing are moving the needle at all. And what I recommend is that you take your wheel and you look at your numbers and you see where you've kind of got divots where you have a weak number, and you just try to move your weak number 1 area out. And when we make those little tiny moves, then we'll start to see a rounding out of our wheel. And when we have a round wheel, our bicycle moves faster, right? And then if that's the small wheel, maybe our numbers are all in a smaller number. But then as we expand the wheel to reach out to our 10, our wheel gets bigger. And if you've ever ridden a bicycle, the bicycles with the bigger wheels will move faster, right? So we don't want to have a little tiny wheel all the time. It takes too much inertia required. But as we work to expand our wheel, our balance in our life, it will get easier and easier to move in the way that we want to move. So I see some of you putting workshop. I'm so excited. I'll share that with you. Not this week. It'll probably be available in the next couple weeks. But I am going to be doing some fun stuff in the community to get us geared up. And I want to talk about that. Interesting. This is not how the slide looked when I looked at it, but the idea is there. The text was inside the circles. But the Champions Checklist kind of looks like this. we want our big dreams written down, right? We've already did that on day 1. And then on day 2, we said, where are you now? What are your current numbers? And then we looked at your blueprint. So we don't want to just follow somebody else's way of doing things. We want to make sure that the way we've had success before is layered on top of what we're going to try to do next, because we have our own success pattern built into us. And that's why if any of you have tried anybody else's stuff and it hasn't worked, it's because it's not your blueprint. Maybe you found somebody that taught you something and your blueprints were aligned in that area, but I have not found a guru yet who everything they did is everything that I was able to implement in the way that they said and made it work. So you want to take your blueprint that has all the influences of your life, your way of making things work for you. It's kind of like when you go on a diet plan, right? There might be a great recipe that you see, but if you can't have eggs or you can't eat, you have to eat gluten-free, you have to adapt it to your style. That's what your blueprint will do for you. You will recognize, as a teacher, I see it a lot with people's learning styles. If you're a visual, and somebody's giving you everything in an audio version, then you have to compensate. You have to do things to put more visual into it. If you're a kinesthetic learner and you have to be up and active and moving, then you're going to be listening to someone's class on your bike or doing your Stepmaster or something. It's going to be different for you because you know that when you add in things that are beneficial for you, if you take notes, if you doodle while you are doing things, if you dance when you're hearing music, there are going to be different connections that get made for you. And from that place, you're going to follow a plan. You're going to take the steps that you know you need to make because you're going to have that compelling future. You're going to know that you've got a system that works for you. And then the key is you're going to keep doing it and assessing whether or not it's working. You don't quit. You never quit. Champions don't quit. But they might change course a little bit. They might redirect. What do they say about airplanes? Like when they file the flight plan of where they're going to go, they have a destination in mind, right? We know that we're going to the Miami airport, let's say. But along the way, the plane gets moved by the wind and the currents. Things might happen. They might have a storm in front of them and they have to go around it. So the entire time that they're moving towards the Miami airport, they are shifting course. They are course correcting through the entire experience. And that's how your goals list should be. It's a framework. It's a destination in mind, but you have to be the one that's continuing to assess what's going on in life and recognizing, you may find, like we talked about with time, that the timing you have allotted, it's taking a really long time to get your goals done. So maybe now you are aware of it. You're seeing it. You're like, oh, wow. Hi, Shelly. So glad to have you on. You start to see that, hey, I need to do something a little bit different here. So I'm going to give up this to add this. And I loved it the other day. I saw that when we want to add things into our life, we recognize that we have to subtract some things first because God gave us the mandate to multiply, right? But we can't multiply unless we subtract some stuff first. Like we want to add, but we've got to take some stuff away. We've got to follow. I used to be a math teacher, you guys. We have to fundamentally follow the plan. And you don't teach someone how to multiply right out of the gate. Add. Then you go into the deeper things like subtract. Then you start talking about multiplication. All right. So the good news is, what are we going to do to start today? What we want to do is schedule the time that you have allotted. So whether that's the 5 minutes a day, maybe that's an hour a week, whatever time that you are truly, truly committed to putting towards the goals that you want to achieve. Block that out now. Decide what your hour of power is going to be, or your 15 minutes for your future, whatever that is. And then in that time, start small. And it may be that you just commit to a habit that supports you right now. So for the next 7 days, what's one thing you could do in that time frame that will get you to where you want to go? And I hear Diane saying she's excited. I'm thrilled for you too. That is going to be great. Now, it takes 21 days to build a habit. And the way I like to do our work in the community is the first week of the month, we talk about our goals. And then I'm going to be giving you for the next 3 weeks, 21 days, right? Tips and techniques for moving forward to hit your goals so that your habits can become, they can stick to you, right? We want them to become a habit. And the thing is maybe you're going to try it for a few days and it's not going to feel right. And then you're going to want to get some support on how can I shift it a little bit? How can I make it something that I want to do this and I want to do it regularly? And that's where you need to reach out. Reach out to a friend, reach out to an accountability partner, reach out to me. I am available. My job is a life coach. This is what I do. I love the systems that I have learned. Many of you know, I do the ULA life coaching. I mastered that system. I have that understanding of the beginning framework to use for goal setting. And then I shifted into Tony Robbins' world. So I have this amazing foundation of how to get your goals set. And then I can take us even to a higher level with all of Tony's amazing methodologies for lasting change, getting unstuck, having massive breakthroughs. And so I get to layer that on top of everything else. And I'm accessible, you guys. I'm in the group all the time. I'm going to see your comments. You can message me whenever you want. My email is there. And I also have the coaching world. So my ULA Life, the link is there, and I think I can put it into the comments as well. So I will do that afterwards. I don't think I have it saved in my clipboard right now, but I will put that into the comments, and you guys can go out, get the wheel. You can see some of the products we have for the body and mind, and as well as our digital courses. So the really cool thing about the app that we have is that it is set up that as a coach, we are able to give you access to digital courses. There's one called The Green Gap. A lot of you talk about finances being an issue. The Green Gap is a program that assists you to look at your money habits and gives you a very simple plan for investing, saving, and still spending money on things. And that sounds like kind of mind-blowing because most people will say, no, you got to just put it all towards your credit or do this thing or that thing. Instead, there is a system that is similar to Dave Ramsey's, but doable in a long-term way that a lot of people have found they've paid off their houses, their cars, a lot of financial success, zero debt, all of that. And that's available to you through some of the programs that I have. So just need to reach out. I'd be happy to share more. And then, like I said, the workshop will be available for you. And if we can just work together, don't hesitate to reach out. All right. Sarah's asking about the app. The app is, it's funny. What is our app called? I use it every day and I don't know. That's hilarious. I love it. Sarah, thank you for asking. It's called My ULA Life. Okay. So when you go through, I can send you guys the link, but on my coaching page, it shows you the different areas. And the app itself, it's $47 a month. Okay. And it's good. And you have a 7-day trial, and you also have 30 days money back on any of our stuff. But work with me first, because it took me a really long time to get the app to work with me, to get the streaks. And so there's a few things, like we should be setting some habits, making sure that you can get through the daily stuff together. And then when you get the app, you'll be using it in a manner that really works for you. So it's almost like a coaching you before you get the app. I would start there. All right. Love you guys. I'm looking forward to talking with you individually. I'll go back through the comments and answer when I can, okay? Have a great day, you guys, and I'll get the links put up there as soon as I can see it on the screen. Take care.